When I found out my unborn child wasn't mine, I didn't just walk away. I destroyed the man who took my wife and the life we had planned, one secret at a time. My name is Jake Reynolds, 35. Been pouring concrete and managing job sites since I was 20. Construction foreman now, the guy everyone calls when the blueprints go sideways and somebody's got to figure it out. I'm not flashy, not loud, just solid, steady. The guy you build a life with. Amanda was the opposite. All warmth and softness. The kind of woman who made strangers smile in the grocery store. Worked admin at the hospital, remembered birthdays, kept plants alive. Everyone loved her. And behind closed doors, she could be quiet, almost fragile. Like she needed to be reminded the world wouldn't break her if she leaned on it. We'd been married 5 years. No kids, until now. The pregnancy was a miracle, she said. A blessing. But lately, even miracles felt suspicious. I only took the paternity test to quiet a stupid voice in my head, but it shattered everything. It was a Tuesday, early March. Cold air still clinging to the Midwest like it couldn't let go. Amanda was 8 months along, waddling around the house in her oversized hoodie, humming lullabies to her belly like everything was perfect. And maybe it was. On the outside, we had the house, 2 stories, red brick, white trim. The dream. We had a crib in the corner of the nursery, untouched, waiting. And we had the baby shower invitations sitting unopened on the kitchen counter, pink ribbons on the envelopes. But still that voice. Soft, small, sharp. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to feel it. I'm not the paranoid type. I'm a construction foreman, not a conspiracy theorist. I spend my days reading blueprints, not reading into things. But I noticed little changes. Amanda's phone never left her side anymore. Even in the bathroom. She started sleeping facing away from me. Not just once or twice. Every night. And there was this weird tension, like every hug she gave was choreographed. Like her kisses were being delivered by an actress on stage. One night, we were watching a rerun of The Office, and the baby kicked hard. She gasped and grabbed my hand. But not to place it on her belly. Just held it. Tight. Too tight. Like she was scared of something. That's when it landed in my chest. What if this baby isn't mine? I tried to shake it. God knows I tried. We'd been married 5 years. We weren't perfect, but we were steady. Solid. She worked admin at the hospital downtown. Same shift for 3 years. I'd pick her up when her car was in the shop. I'd drop by with coffee on her lunch breaks. Everyone there knew me. Hell, they called us the Reynolds lovebirds. But doubt is a nasty thing. It doesn't whisper. It drills. I found myself watching her more. The way she avoided eye contact when I talked about baby names. The way she flinched when I mentioned my mom staying with us after the birth. And then there was the doctor's name, Dr. Marcus Lewis. The man she started seeing after her first OB retired. Always so polite. Too polite. The guy's a goddamn handshake with teeth, I'd joked once. But Amanda never laughed. She just said, he's respected. And kind. I wish I could go back in time and make myself stop. Just trust her. Just believe in what we had. But that voice, it was like a splinter under my skin. And I couldn't let it go. So I ordered the test. Not because I didn't love her. Because I did. Too much, maybe. It was one of those peace-of-mind kits. The kind you swab at home and mail in. Discreet. Quiet. Like betrayal in a padded envelope. She was asleep when I did it. Snoring lightly. One arm wrapped around the pregnancy pillow. The soft glow of the nightlight barely touching her face. I stood there for a long time before swabbing. I hated myself for it. But I did it anyway. I sent the test and tried to forget it. I buried myself in work. Concrete pours. Site plans. Long shifts that ended with whiskey on the porch and silence in my bones. The envelope came 2 weeks later. White. Plain. No logos. Just my name and address printed clean. I didn't open it right away. I stared at it. Like it might burst into flames. Amanda was upstairs, napping. She napped a lot lately. Always tired. Always somewhere else in her head. I sat at the kitchen table with the envelope in my hands, thumbs tracing the edges. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been an hour. When she came down the stairs, she looked softer than usual. Hair messy, face puffy from sleep. She rubbed her belly and gave me a sleepy smile. "There's ice cream in the freezer," she said. "Thought you might want some." She had no idea what I was holding. I smiled back. "Maybe later." She padded into the living room, turned on the TV, and started watching some home makeover show. I stared at her for a long moment. This woman I had loved since we were 25. The one I'd bought a ring for after 6 months because I just knew. She looked peaceful, normal, safe. I tore open the envelope. The paper inside was simple. Clean lines. A couple rows of numbers and one sentence printed in bold. Probability of paternity, 0%. That was it. No fanfare. No dramatic music. Just a statistic that detonated my world in one silent blow. I didn't move. Didn't speak. I just sat there, holding proof that the child growing in Amanda's belly wasn't mine. I wanted to scream. To flip the table. To punch a wall until my fists bled. But I didn't do any of that. I just looked at her. On the couch, laughing softly at something on TV. One hand resting on her stomach. Her face lit by the screen. Her world untouched by the truth sitting in my hands. And that's when it hit me hardest. She already knew. Of course she did. You don't carry another man's baby by accident. You don't keep that kind of secret without intention. And she'd been doing it for 8 months. 8 goddamn months of rubbing her belly and calling it ours. 8 months of whispering baby names and painting walls and letting me believe I was about to become a father. She looked over her shoulder then, smiled at me again. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, just tired. She turned back to the TV. I folded the paper, slid it back into the envelope, tucked it into my coat pocket. I didn't say a word. Not that night. Not the next morning. Because this wasn't something I could confront with anger. This needed strategy, patience, cold clarity. She was lying to me, and I was about to find out how deep the lie went, and who else was in on it. Because if the baby wasn't mine, someone else's was. And I had a feeling I already knew the name. The baby wasn't mine, but the name that showed up on Amanda's phone was even worse. After the paternity test, I moved like a ghost through my own house. I'd leave for work before sunrise, come back after dark, say the right things, do the right chores, pretend. Amanda didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't ask. She was too busy nesting, folding onesies, washing pacifiers, crying at commercials. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me, like she was about to say something. Then she'd stop. She wasn't just hiding something. She was protecting it, like a secret she wanted to keep wrapped in soft blankets and baby showers. I started watching her, not in some jealous, possessive way, just quietly, observant. I noticed she never let her phone out of her sight, not even in the shower. She'd take long bathroom breaks with her phone in hand, screen turned down. She started keeping it on silent, then switched to do not disturb. Said the baby noises from her apps were keeping her up. I'm not a snooper by nature, but betrayal changes your moral compass. You stop caring about boundaries when someone's already blown up the life you were building. It happened late one night. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, one hand resting on her belly, the TV still humming with some reality show rerun. Her phone buzzed. Not loudly, just a small, guilty vibration. She didn't stir. I reached over slowly, picked it up like it might burn me. There were 4 new messages, all from the same contact. Dr. L. Redheart. That was the name. Not Marcus. Not OB-GYN. Dr. L. With a goddamn heart emoji. My stomach clenched so hard I thought I might throw up. I tapped the screen. It was locked, of course. Passcode protected. She'd changed it weeks ago. Said she had sensitive hospital info now. HIPAA stuff. I just stared at the screen, heart pounding in my ears. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message from Dr. L. Redheart. I can still feel your lips on my neck. Hope he's still clueless. Winking face. I nearly dropped the phone. My wife was 8 months pregnant, and the man texting her about her lips was her goddamn OB-GYN. The one I'd trusted with both of us. The one who smiled at me in the exam room. Who told me our baby looked healthy and strong. Who shook my hand while probably undressing my wife in his head. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. I looked over at Amanda, snoring softly, blissfully unaware that her double life was unspooling right there in her hand. I set the phone down and walked outside barefoot, not even realizing I was shaking. The air was cold, sharp. I stood on the porch and stared into the night like it owed me an explanation. I wanted to confront her. Right then, shake her awake and scream, "Whose child is this? What the hell did you do to us?" But I didn't, because I wanted the whole truth. And I wanted proof. That's the thing about building houses for a living. You learn to spot bad foundations before they collapse. And this marriage was built on a sinkhole. I just hadn't seen it until now. The next morning, I acted like nothing happened. Made her oatmeal with strawberries, her favorite. Kissed her forehead. Said, "I'll call you after the site walk." She smiled like she still believed we were okay. And maybe she did. Maybe the affair was just another lie she fed herself. A fantasy where she got to have both lives, the sweet husband and the secret thrill. But fantasies die when you drag them into daylight. I spent my lunch break doing what I never thought I'd do. I Googled Dr. Marcus Lewis, board certified, 10 years in the same clinic. Glowing reviews. Patients calling him gentle and comforting. Too many reviews. A few sounded off. He made me feel really safe, maybe too safe. Dr. Lewis has a way of making you forget everything else. Longer appointments, but worth it. I didn't like the way that read. Like a fan club instead of a medical page. I dug deeper. Found his personal social media, private, of course. But I found his ex-wife's profile. And her posts told a different story. One quote stood out. "Sometimes, the man everyone respects is the one who scares you the most behind closed doors." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just about Amanda. This guy had a pattern. I went back to work that day, but my mind wasn't on the concrete. It was on the image of Amanda in his exam room. Legs in stirrups, trust in her eyes, and him using that to worm his way into her head. She probably thought it was real. Thought he loved her. Thought this was fate. But I knew men like Marcus. They don't love. They collect. Amanda was just another conquest in a white coat. That night, I stayed up long after she went to bed, and I started digging. Hospital directories, employee records, scheduling systems. Amanda's appointments had gotten more frequent in the second trimester. At first, I thought it was just standard care, but some were outside business hours. One had a check-in at 6:15 p.m. on a Saturday, a day when the clinic was usually closed. Another was a Wednesday that stretched over 2 hours. Who the hell gets a pelvic exam that takes 2 hours? By the time I crawled into bed, the evidence was piling up like bricks on my chest. I turned my head to look at her. Amanda was curled up, hand resting on the belly that no longer felt like ours. She didn't stir, didn't flinch. And in that moment, I didn't hate her. Not yet. I just pitied her. Because she had no idea what I was becoming. Not the man she married. Not the man she lied to. But the man who was going to bury her lover, piece by piece. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just asked, was it him? Amanda was folding baby clothes when I finally did it. The room smelled like fabric softener and lies. She sat on the edge of the bed, sorting pink onesies and pastel socks into neat little piles like the world hadn't shattered 2 nights ago. Like she wasn't carrying another man's child under my roof. The silence between us had grown loud. Every missed glance. Every half-finished sentence. We were 2 actors waiting for the curtain to drop. I stood in the doorway, watching her. She looked up and smiled. "You okay, babe?" Her voice made my skin itch. I stepped into the room and closed the door behind me. Slowly. She noticed. "Jake." I didn't answer. Just sat down on the edge of the bed, across from her. She stopped folding. I held her gaze for a long moment. Then I said it. Was it him? The silence that followed felt like an aftershock. Small, but devastating. Her mouth opened. Closed. I don't know what. I cut her off. Don't lie. Amanda's face paled. She blinked hard, like maybe if she couldn't see me, she wouldn't have to answer. "Jake." "Dr. Marcus Lewis," I said softly. "Is he the father?" She froze. Lips parted. No sound. No denial. Just silence. That was all the confirmation I needed. I stood. Walked to the window. Stared out at the backyard I'd spent 2 summers building with my own hands. The swing set. The garden beds. The new fence, she said, made us feel safe. Safe. What a goddamn joke. Behind me, I heard her voice crack. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. I laughed. Quiet, bitter. She kept going, like she had to fill the space with something. Anything, to keep the truth from swallowing her. He was just there. I was scared. You were working so much. And he listened. He understood things about pregnancy that you couldn't, and I turned around. And you decided to fuck him for it. Her face twisted like I'd hit her. Don't say it like that. Why not? I said. That's what happened. I trusted you. I trusted him. And you gave him what we were supposed to be building together. Tears welled in her eyes. It was just once. Bullshit. I swear, Jake. I swear to God. It happened one time after an appointment. I was emotional, and he kissed me, and I didn't stop it. I hated myself after. You kept seeing him. She hesitated. That wasn't about appointments, I said. That was about making sure he didn't forget what you tasted like. Amanda covered her face with both hands. I made a mistake. No, I said, voice low. A mistake is burning dinner. Forgetting an anniversary. You made a choice. Over and over again. She looked up, mascara starting to run. Jake, please. I love you. I felt something in my chest twist, then break. So did I. She reached for me. I stepped back. Don't. I thought the baby was yours, she said, voice cracking. At first, I didn't know. And by the time I took the test at the clinic, you already knew it wasn't, I said. She didn't deny it. I sat down in the chair by the dresser, the one she used to drape her sweaters over. I've already taken a paternity test, I said. Came in the mail this week. Amanda's breath caught. 0%, I said flatly. Not even a maybe. Not even a 1 in a million shot. She buried her face in her hands again. Oh my God, what I want to know now, I said, leaning forward, is how long it's been going on, and how many others like me are out there. Her head shot up. What? He's a predator, Amanda. That's what this is. He used his position, his title, your vulnerability. He seduced you during checkups. Am I wrong? Amanda went still. She didn't answer. And that was answer enough. I'm not the first, am I? I asked. Her voice was small. He said he loved me. I stared at her. Really stared. My God, I said. You believed him. She nodded, tears pouring freely now. I know it sounds crazy, but he made me feel like I mattered. I sat back in the chair, disgust growing cold in my chest. You mattered. To me. To us. You didn't need him to feel that. I didn't mean to ruin everything. But you did. Amanda wiped her face. Tried to pull herself together. We can fix this. We can. No. Her mouth trembled. Jake. I stood up. Walked to the door. Paused. I'm not going to yell, I said. I'm not going to throw things or call you names. She stared, hopeful for a second. Because that would mean I still care enough to fight for this. And then I walked out. I slept in the truck that night. Not because I had nowhere else to go, but because I couldn't stand the smell of her lotion on the pillows. Couldn't handle the thought of her sleeping in our bed like she hadn't lit the whole thing on fire. At 3 a.m., I sat in the driver's seat and stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror. This wasn't just infidelity. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something deeper. Something planned. She let me paint the nursery. Let me rub her swollen feet. Let me believe, with everything I had, that I was about to become a father. And the man responsible for unraveling all of that? He was still seeing patients. Still shaking hands. Still hiding behind a smile and a stethoscope. But not for long. He seduced her while telling me my baby was healthy. That sentence looped in my head for days. I kept hearing his voice in the exam room. Calm. Reassuring. The heartbeat sounds strong. She's growing right on schedule. You're doing great, Jake. She's lucky to have you. And meanwhile, he was screwing my wife in the same building where he told me everything was fine. It wasn't just betrayal. It was performance. And I'd been applauding the whole damn time. After the confrontation, Amanda and I moved like ghosts through the house. We spoke only when we had to. Mostly about logistics, groceries, appointments, what day the trash went out. She didn't ask me to forgive her again. Maybe because she saw it in my face. Forgiveness was never coming. But I still needed answers. Not just for me. For the truth. For the part of me that refused to be played like a fool ever again. So I started digging. I remembered the appointment in early December. The one I couldn't attend because of a job site delay. She'd been gone for almost 3 hours. Came home flushed. Said the ultrasound machine was backed up. I checked the calendar. December 6th. I dug through the text thread from that day. Her message. It's taking longer than usual, but everything's fine, red heart. I checked the timestamp. And then I pulled the clinic's hours from their website. Her appointment was at 4:30. Clinic closed at 6 o'clock. She texted me at 7:48 p.m. saying she'd just finished and was grabbing dinner. Something didn't add up. I called the clinic the next day, asked to speak with the receptionist, told her I was finalizing our insurance records and needed a copy of Amanda's appointment logs, visit durations, that kind of thing. She said she couldn't give me those without Amanda's consent. So I called a buddy of mine, Jason, whose sister worked in patient intake at the same hospital complex. Need a favor, I said. I owe you 2 already, he replied. What is it? I told him everything. Not the emotional details, just the timeline. The suspicion, the inconsistency. Jason didn't hesitate. Give me a day. When he called back, his voice was lower than usual. Jake, he said, it's worse than you think. I closed my office door. Tell me. Your wife had 8 visits between September and January. 6 of them were flagged private consult by Dr. Lewis. What does that mean? It means he asked for the notes not to be shared with other providers. No assistants. No nurses logged. Just him. I didn't respond. Jason exhaled. One of those consults was booked after hours. Saturday. No receptionist logged in. Security badge entry shows she was the only patient on site. My hand clenched around the phone. Jesus. And Jake, he hesitated. She wasn't the only one. What do you mean? There's chatter. Other nurses have noticed the same pattern with different patients. Private consults. After hours. Always Dr. Lewis. Always women in the 2nd or 3rd trimester. It hit me like a hammer to the ribs. This wasn't an affair. This was a pattern. I thanked Jason and hung up. Sat there in the office, staring at the blueprints on my desk, and saw none of them. The man who told me I was going to be a father had a system. He used the one place women are most vulnerable, the doctor's office, to groom, isolate, and exploit them. And Amanda wasn't just a mistake. She was a target. That night, she was sitting on the porch when I got home, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the streetlight like it held answers. I stood behind her, silent. After a moment, she spoke without turning around. You're not sleeping. No. I hear you pacing. At night. I stepped forward. Tell me something, Amanda. She turned. Eyes tired. Voice small. What? Did he ever ask you to keep it a secret? She didn't answer. Just looked down at her lap. That's what he does, right? I said. Makes you feel special. Isolated. Like it's your private little world. No nurses. No records. Just the 2 of you. Tears welled in her eyes. How many times? I asked. She didn't answer. 4, I guessed. 5. More? 6, she whispered. I nodded. And how long before the first time did he start touching you during exams? Her breath caught. That's when I knew for sure. She wasn't seduced. She was groomed. Bit by bit. Inch by inch. Until she didn't realize the line had been crossed until she was already on the other side. But that didn't mean she was innocent. She still lied to me. Still let me build cribs and pick out names while carrying another man's child. I want to talk to a lawyer, I said. Amanda's head snapped up. Jake. Not for divorce, I said. Then for what? For justice. The next morning, I scheduled a meeting with someone I never thought I'd need. A malpractice attorney. I told her everything. Dates. Details. The messages. The test. The private appointments. The pattern. She listened quietly. Took notes. Then leaned forward and said, if what you're saying is true, we're not just looking at infidelity. We're looking at a violation of medical ethics, and maybe criminal misconduct. I nodded. I'm going to need more than your story, she said. We need other women. Patterns. Proof. I'll get it. She raised an eyebrow. You're going after him? I'm not going after him, I said. I'm going to bury him. I wasn't his only mistake. I was just the first husband who fought back. There's a moment when pain sharpens into purpose. When you stop asking why and start asking how. How do I make sure he never does this again? How do I burn everything he's built to the ground without laying a finger on him? That's where I was. Not grieving anymore. Not confused. I was clear. Dr. Marcus Lewis wasn't just a man who had an affair with my wife. He was a predator hiding in plain sight. And Amanda wasn't his first. She was just the first to talk, even if she didn't realize it yet. I started with names. Amanda mentioned a woman once, Megan, who she met in the waiting room. They hit it off, swapped numbers, shared baby name ideas. But after a couple months, she stopped bringing her up. I scrolled Amanda's phone when she was in the shower one night. Still on silent, still on lock, but synced to the house iPad for calendar sharing. There was a message thread. Megan W. Last text from Amanda. Can't talk. Please delete this thread. I took a picture of it. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened Facebook. Found Megan's profile. Mutual friends, too. One of them was Amanda. I sent a message from a throwaway account. No name. No photo. I think we've both been hurt by the same man. If you want to talk, I'm here. This isn't a threat. It's a chance to tell your side. I didn't expect a reply, but the next day I got one. You're talking about Dr. Lewis, aren't you? That's all I needed. We met 2 days later. Neutral ground. A park near the clinic, early morning. She was younger than Amanda, mid-20s, pale, eyes darting around like she was waiting to be followed. "I'm not crazy," she said the moment she sat down. "Everyone thinks I am. I don't." She studied me. "Who are you?" "My name's Jake. My wife used to be one of his patients." Her shoulders slumped like she'd been holding her breath for months. "He flirted during my second trimester," she said. "Said I was glowing. Said I looked radiant." I nodded. "Let me guess. It felt harmless at first." She laughed, bitter. "Yeah, until it wasn't." Her story was almost identical to Amanda's. Late appointments, private consults, notes marked confidential, emotional support that turned physical. "I didn't tell anyone," she whispered. "He said no one would believe me, that it was just stress hormones making me think there was more to it." "But there was." She nodded. "I wasn't the only one. Another woman in the birthing class mentioned him once. Said he was very hands-on. Her husband didn't like it." "Do you know her name?" She shook her head. "Just that she had twins. Around the same time as me." I thanked her, gave her my number, told her there might be legal action, and she wasn't alone. As I was walking away, she called out, "Do you think he even remembers our names?" I turned. "No, just the damage." I needed someone who could dig deeper. A friend of mine, Tyler, used to do contract work with hospital IT systems before switching to freelance investigations. Divorce cases, employee fraud, quiet work for quiet people. I invited him to the job site, handed him a hard hat, walked him past the crew and into the brake trailer. "I need someone watched," I said. "Professionally." Tyler raised an eyebrow. "Personal or business?" "Both." I showed him the photos, the texts, the appointment logs. His smile dropped. "Jesus. I don't need dirt. I need patterns, behavior, other victims, if you can find them. And I need it clean. Surveillance. Whatever it takes." He leaned back. "This guy know you're onto him?" "Not yet." Tyler nodded slowly. "He will. Over the next 2 weeks, I let things settle at home." Amanda thought I was processing, healing. She made dinners again, asked about my day, started playing music in the mornings like we were back to normal. But I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was building a case. Tyler called on a Sunday night. "I've got something. Tell me." He'd followed Dr. Lewis 3 times after work. Twice, he went straight home. Big house in the suburbs, wife and 2 teenage kids. Picture-perfect facade. The 3rd time, he took a detour. A bar downtown, Tyler said. Same waitress both visits. Blonde. Young. Works nights. Her social media says she's 6 months pregnant. My chest tightened. "Want me to approach her?" "Not yet," I said. "Just keep watching." He hesitated. "Jake, you sure you want to keep going down this path?" "No, but I have to." Amanda asked me one night, "Do you still love me?" I looked at her, at the belly she used to call ours, at the eyes that still watered too easily. "I don't know," I said. It was the truth. She cried, silently, and I let her, because part of me pitied her. But the bigger part? It was already gone. The man I used to be, her Jake, died with that paternity test. And the man standing in his place had a new purpose: to make sure Dr. Lewis never did this to another woman again. Amanda thought I was moving out. I was moving in on him. She'd started packing boxes the same week I installed a camera in my garage. I didn't tell her to leave. Didn't yell. Didn't make threats. I just stopped coming home at my usual time. Started sleeping in the guest room. Left early, came back late. And when she asked me, softly, "Are we going to be okay?" I said nothing. Because the truth was, we didn't exist anymore. But she didn't need to know that yet. Because while she folded shirts and whispered to the baby inside her, I was building something else. A case. A story. A noose. It started with the nurse. Her name was Danielle. Late 30s. Worked at the clinic for 6 years. Quiet. Sharp. The kind of woman who watches everything. Says nothing. Until she has a reason. Tyler got her to meet me in a church parking lot on the east side of town. Said she wanted no paper trail, no recordings. Just to be heard. She wore scrubs and sunglasses. Hair pulled tight. No small talk. "I only have 10 minutes, she said. "What do you want to know?" "Dr. Lewis," I said. "I think he's been abusing patients." Her jaw tightened. "I can't confirm that. But you've seen things." She hesitated. "I know about the private consults," I said. "The after-hours entries. The locked doors." Danielle exhaled, then nodded. "He's careful. never leaves a trace. Always uses the excuse of patient sensitivity. Says they're embarrassed. High risk. Wants privacy. Have you ever witnessed something inappropriate? She looked away. Not directly. But I've heard. Crying. Behind locked doors. Once I knocked. He opened it with gloves off, flushed face. The patient left without making eye contact. Wouldn't speak. Never came back. I clenched my fists. Why didn't you report him? Danielle looked at me, finally, fully. Because I'm a single mom with a mortgage. And the last nurse who asked questions got let go for a HIPAA violation that didn't exist. I nodded. And now? She glanced around. Now someone else is talking. So I'm talking too. She pulled a flash drive from her pocket. What's that? Appointment logs. Badge scans. Clinic hours versus real hours. Names blacked out, but you'll see the pattern. I took it. She looked me dead in the eye. Don't screw this up. You're not the only one who's been waiting for him to fall. Then she walked away. Tyler cross-referenced the flash drive with surveillance data. We built a timeline. A map. We highlighted 5 patients. All had after-hours appointments. All had social media posts about pregnancy complications, emotional breakdowns, or mysteriously switching doctors mid-pregnancy. 2 had moved out of state. 1 deleted her accounts entirely. 1 was Megan, the woman I'd already spoken to. And 1. She was still seeing Dr. Lewis. Her name was Rachel. 28. First pregnancy. According to her Instagram, she was thrilled. According to Tyler's audio logs, not so much. We planted a mic on one of the planters outside the clinic. It picked up casual chatter from staff and patients near the entrance. One recording hit me in the gut. It was Rachel, talking to someone on the phone. He told me not to worry. That bleeding happens sometimes. No, I haven't told my husband. Because I don't want to lose the doctor I trust. I played that clip 5 times. Each time, it got worse. Because I could hear Amanda in those words. The same blind trust. The same secret keeping. The same fear. I didn't want to just expose him anymore. I wanted him erased. Amanda was watching TV when I came home that night. She muted the sound when I walked in. You've been different, she said. I stared at her. She looked tired. Pale. The glow was gone. He still messages me, she whispered. Dr. Lewis. My chest tightened. What does he say? That he misses me. That he's sorry. And you? I don't respond. I swear, Jake. I haven't said a word. I didn't reply. Just stared at her until she looked away. But later, after she went to bed, I checked her phone again. The messages were still there. One stuck out. He'll never know. Just say the timing's off. A message from 2 months ago. Before I knew anything. Before the test. I recorded my screen. That clip of a grown man manipulating a pregnant woman into silence was going to be Exhibit A. Tyler and I compiled everything. The messages, the logs, the appointment patterns, the off-the-record interviews, and the audio recordings. One in particular, a muffled clip from the hallway, nearly made me throw up. Dr. Lewis, saying softly, "This is just between us, okay? You're special. You don't need to tell anyone. Especially not your husband. We had him. We had him. Now we just needed to decide where to strike first. Medical ethics mean nothing to a man who thinks he's untouchable. Dr. Marcus Lewis walked through the world like he owned it. That perfect posture. That clean-cut beard. That polished charm he turned on like a switch. He made people feel safe, especially women. But I knew better now. Safety wasn't what he offered. Control was. Disguised as care. Delivered with a smile. And men like that? They don't stop unless someone makes them. So I stopped being a husband in pain and became a name on a form. Anonymous complainant. It felt surgical, cold. Exactly what he deserved. The complaint to the state medical board was 17 pages long. Tyler helped me write it. We attached everything, stripped of names, time-stamped, documented. Private consult logs. Surveillance footage from the parking lot. Audio recordings of suggestive conversations. The message to Amanda, he'll never know. Danielle's report about the locked door sessions. A breakdown of his patient patterns, long gaps, solo consults, 0 staff involvement. We laid it out like blueprints. No emotion, no editorializing. Just a structure he couldn't talk his way out of. At the top of the report, Tyler included one sentence. This pattern suggests a physician abusing positional authority and engaging in unethical, and possibly illegal, sexual relationships with multiple vulnerable patients. We printed 3 copies. Mailed one to the State Board of Medical Examiners, one to the hospital's internal compliance department, and one to a malpractice attorney Tyler knew personally. We didn't sign them. Didn't need to. Because the truth doesn't need a name when it's built this solid. Amanda was quieter lately. The pregnancy was wearing on her. Or maybe it was the guilt. Either way, she didn't notice I was spending hours each night cataloging timestamps, audio files, clinic patterns. She thought I was avoiding her. What I was really doing was building a guillotine. One day, she came into the kitchen holding her phone. "He called again," she said. "Who?" She didn't answer. "What did he want?" I asked, not looking up. "He said he missed me. Asked if I'd seen anything weird lately. If anyone's been asking questions." That got my attention. "What did you say?" "Nothing." I hung up. I watched her face. "You believe me?" I shrugged. "Doesn't matter." "Yes, it does." I looked at her belly, full with a child that wasn't mine, and said, "No, Amanda. What matters now is that he gets what he deserves." 3 weeks after the complaint was filed, Tyler got a ping from one of his sources at the clinic. Dr. Marcus Lewis was pulled from the patient rotation. No official announcement. No email. Just gone. Like someone hit the emergency brake. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because I knew what that meant. Someone read the complaint. Someone believed it. And someone was scared enough to act fast. Later that day, Amanda came home with wide eyes. "Did you hear?" I played dumb. "What?" "Dr. Lewis is under review or something. The clinic's not saying much. My friend Nina said they're scrambling to reassign all his patients." I just sipped my coffee. She stared at me. "Jake, did you do something?" I met her gaze. "You mean, did I protect other women from going through what you did?" She swallowed hard. Said nothing. I walked past her, dropped my mug in the sink. "You're not the only one he manipulated," I said. "But you're the last." That night, Tyler called. "They're moving fast," he said. "I've seen boards drag their feet for months. This is panic mode." "Good. You want me to stop now?" I paused. "No," I said. "I want more." She cheated. He lied. But the baby still needed protection from them. You'd think the hardest part would be finding out the child wasn't mine. It wasn't. The hardest part was realizing I still cared. Not about Amanda. Not about Dr. Lewis. About the child. The baby she carried, who had nothing to do with any of this. Who didn't ask to be the product of manipulation, deceit, or betrayal. Who was about to enter a world already poisoned by lies. And that's when it hit me. If I walked away, I'd be leaving that baby to them. To Amanda, who could barely admit the truth to herself. To Dr. Lewis, who might disappear one moment, then come back with charm and lawyers the next. I couldn't let that happen. I wouldn't. The lawyer leaned back in her chair and raised an eyebrow. "You want custody?" "I want protection," I said. "That child didn't choose any of this." "Jake," she tapped her pen against the desk. "You're not the biological father. That's going to be a major obstacle." "Not impossible, though." She hesitated. "No, but you'd have to prove Amanda is unfit, or that remaining in her custody would be emotionally or physically harmful. She carried out an affair with her OB-GYN during her pregnancy. She lied to her husband, tried to pass off another man's child as mine. Emotional instability, yes," she said, nodding. "But we'll need more. I have recordings, messages. I have proof she was manipulated by a doctor currently under investigation." She leaned forward. "If you're serious about this, we need to file now. Before the birth. Preemptive custody petition. It'll catch the court off guard, but it might work in your favor." "I'm serious," I said. "I want to be the one who raises that child. Not because it's mine, but because someone has to do what's right." She studied me for a long time. Then she smiled, small, sharp. "You know," she said, "in all my years, I've never seen revenge look this much like love." Amanda didn't see it coming. The papers were delivered on a Tuesday. She was in the living room folding laundry when the courier knocked. I was in the kitchen, watching. She opened the envelope slowly. Read the first few lines. Then her face collapsed. "Jake." I didn't respond. "You're filing for custody?" She looked stunned, like I'd kicked her in the chest. "You're not even the father." "I know." "Then why?" "Because that child doesn't deserve to be raised by two liars." She took a step toward me. "I made a mistake. One mistake. That doesn't make me unfit." "You didn't make one mistake," I said, voice calm. "You made 100, starting with letting him touch you, and ending with trying to convince me that baby was mine." She was shaking now. You don't get to take her from me. I'm not taking her, I said. I'm saving her. Court was quiet, cold, clinical. Amanda wore a gray dress. No makeup. Pale. Small. Her lawyer was younger than mine. Nervous. Ill-prepared. The judge looked tired. Middle-aged. Female. Sharp eyes behind tired glasses. We presented everything. The timeline of the affair. Proof of Amanda's deception. Dr. Lewis's ongoing medical board investigation. Evidence of emotional distress and instability. My readiness, financially, emotionally, to raise the child. Amanda's side argued maternal rights. Biological ties. The trauma of removing a newborn from its mother. But when the judge asked Amanda, "Have you been honest with your husband throughout this pregnancy?" She paused. Too long. Then she said, "No." Her voice broke on the word. And so did her case. The ruling didn't come that day. But I already knew. She did too. She didn't speak on the ride home. Just stared out the window, silent tears streaking her face. When we pulled into the driveway, she said it. "I never meant for this to happen." I looked at her. "You never meant to get caught," I said. "There's a difference. He used to get thank you cards. Now he gets spit on his windshield." Dr. Marcus Lewis was once the golden boy of this city. He delivered half the babies on our street, smiled in every holiday newsletter. He was the kind of man people trusted with their wives, their sisters, their daughters. Now, people crossed the street when they saw him coming. It started slow, a whisper here, a question there. "Did you hear what happened with that OB at St. Matthew's? Apparently someone filed a complaint. I heard he seduced a patient while she was pregnant." Then the articles started circulating. Nothing direct, nothing official, but local blogs picked it up. A Reddit thread, a Facebook post that disappeared an hour later. And the comments? They lit up. "He always gave me the creeps. My wife said his hands lingered too long during her ultrasound. I switched clinics last year. Didn't feel right." One morning, Tyler texted me a photo. Dr. Lewis's car, that slick black Lexus he loved so much, was parked outside the clinic. Across the windshield, someone had written in red lipstick, "How many lives did you ruin?" Underneath it, a single baby sock was tucked beneath the wiper blade. Tyler's caption read, "It's starting." Amanda felt it too. She went to the pharmacy and came home shaking. "Susan wouldn't look at me," she said. "We used to talk all the time. But today she barely made eye contact." "She probably read the court filing," I said flatly. Amanda paled. "It's public. Affair, paternity fraud, emotional instability, all of it. Anyone can pull it." She sat down on the couch, her hands shaking. "Jake, this is getting out of control." "No," I said. "This is justice." At work, guys started asking me questions. Some careful, some not. "Hey, Reynolds, your wife was seeing that OB, right?" "Man, I heard that guy's under investigation." "For real? You doing okay?" I didn't give them much. Just a shrug, a nod, and a quiet, "Yeah, I'm doing just fine." Because I was. The town that once looked at Dr. Lewis like a hero now looked at him like a bad dream they were trying to wake up from. And Amanda? She was starting to realize something worse than guilt. She wasn't special. She was just next on the list. It was a Thursday when it happened. I was at the job site. Crew pouring concrete for a foundation when I saw a black Lexus pull up near the edge of the lot. He stepped out. Polished shoes. Crisp dress shirt. No white coat, but still playing the part. Marcus Lewis. I froze mid-step. He walked straight toward me, ignoring the guys around us. Everyone stopped what they were doing. The air felt heavier. "Jake," he said, jaw clenched. "We need to talk." I didn't flinch. "You can say whatever you want right here." He looked around, eyes scanning the crew. Some of them had their phones out. "Recording. You think you're clever?" he hissed. "You think this is justice?" "No," I said. "This is just the beginning. You're ruining lives." "No, Marcus," I said, voice calm. "You ruin lives. I'm just making sure people know who you really are." He stepped closer. Too close. "You don't know what you're doing." I didn't move. Just stared at him. "I know everything," I said. "And I've got it all on tape." His mouth twitched. "You won't win this." "I already am." He looked around one more time. Saw the crew watching, filming, whispering. His mask cracked for the first time. And that's when he made the mistake. He stepped forward again, fist clenched, like he might throw it. Tyler, standing nearby, took one step out from behind the concrete truck and raised his phone higher. I didn't flinch. Didn't move. Just said, "Go ahead. Do it." He froze. Then he turned, jaw tight, and stormed back to his car. The tires screeched as he pulled away. And the guys? They all turned to me, quiet, stunned, like they'd just watched the devil blink. He called me a coward. I told him to get ready to lose everything. I replayed the footage 5 times that night. Marcus Lewis. Clean cut. Furious. Trying not to explode in front of a crowd. You could see the vein in his neck pulsing. The way he tried to smile through clenched teeth. The twitch in his right eye when he realized he was being filmed. But what made the clip gold wasn't just the confrontation. It was his voice. "You don't know what you're doing. You're ruining lives. You won't win this." Threats. Subtle, but clear. The tone of a man used to being feared, not challenged. And I had it all on video. Tyler cleaned the audio. We backed it up 3 times. Labeled it Exhibit 17, Parking Lot Confrontation, Unprovoked Approach. It would go straight to the medical board. Because if there was one thing Marcus didn't understand, it was this. I didn't need to beat him. I just needed to document him losing. The official hearing was set for 3 weeks out. But by then, the committee had already called us both. Mine was over the phone. A preliminary interview. 42 minutes long. I answered every question with timestamps, receipts, and facts. Never raised my voice. I told them about Amanda. The pregnancy. The paternity test. The private consults. The late-night texts. The recordings. The nurse. Then I ended with one line. He seduced my wife while telling me the baby was healthy. And he's done it before. If you don't stop him, he'll do it again. Silence. Then the investigator said, "We'll be in touch." 2 days later, Tyler texted me a photo. Marcus, outside his clinic, red in the face, talking to a local reporter. Apparently, the story had leaked. Not just the investigation, but my name, my court filing, my complaint, the custody petition. Amanda, too. She came home shaking. "You said it was anonymous." "It was," I said, "until someone made it public." "Do you know how this looks?" she snapped. "Yes," I said. Like the truth finally showed up. She sat down hard on the couch, buried her face in her hands. "What happens if he loses his license?" she whispered. I looked at her, really looked at her. The regret, the fear, the unraveling of everything she thought she'd kept buried. "He doesn't just lose a license," I said. "He loses control." Marcus sent Amanda one final message. "He's playing a dangerous game. Don't let him take everything from you too." She showed it to me. I didn't respond, but I added it to the folder. Because soon, he wouldn't be whispering threats in private anymore. He'd be explaining them in front of a panel. She begged for another chance, with a baby in her arms that wasn't mine. It was raining when she showed up at my door. Not pouring, just that slow, steady drizzle that makes everything feel quieter than it should. She was holding the baby, wrapped in a pink blanket, face barely visible. Maybe a week old. I hadn't seen her, the baby, since Amanda left the hospital. Hadn't wanted to. But now here she was. Both of them. On my porch. Amanda's hair was soaked, her eyes raw. "Jake," she said, voice cracking. "Please." I didn't move. She shifted the baby in her arms. I didn't know where else to go. "You have family. They won't talk to me. Not after everything." "You have him," I said. And that's when she broke. Her face twisted. She looked down at the baby, then back at me. "He left," she whispered. I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" After the hearing date was set, after the clinic suspended him, he stopped answering. I didn't say anything. "He said he loved me," she went on. "Said we'd raise her together. And now," her voice cracked, "now I'm just another mistake he won't admit to." She took a step closer. "I'm sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry. I didn't just lose you. I lost everything." I let the silence sit. She shifted the baby again. "She needs someone. I need someone." She paused. "I know she's not yours, but she doesn't have anyone else." I finally looked down. The baby. Small. Quiet. Eyes closed. She didn't ask for this. Didn't ask for any of it. And that's when I felt it. That same pull I felt the day we painted the nursery. The day we picked out names. The day I thought I was becoming a father. Maybe I still was. Just not in the way I planned. I let them in. Not because I forgave Amanda. Not because I wanted her back. But because the child, that child, deserved better than being passed between broken people. Amanda sat on the couch, rocking her gently. "I named her Lily," she said. I didn't respond. "She sleeps through most of the night." Still nothing. "I've been thinking," she said, quieter now. "Maybe we could." "No," I cut her off. She froze. I let you in because of her. Not because I want you. Jake, you don't get a second chance just because you regret what you lost. She started crying. I want her to be safe, I said. That's it. She wiped her eyes. Nodded. I'm filing for full custody, I said. Amanda's head snapped up. What? I'm not asking for your permission, I said. I'm telling you. She's my daughter. Biologically, yes. But emotionally, you abandoned her the moment you chose him. That's not fair. You lied for months. You let me build a life around a lie. I didn't know. Don't, I said. Don't twist this. She stood up. I came here because I had nowhere else. No, I said. You came here because the man you chose over me disappeared the moment things got hard. She didn't deny it. Just stood there, holding the baby. Crying. I walked over. Looked down at Lily. Still sleeping. She doesn't deserve to pay for your choices, I said. So let me stay, Amanda whispered. I leaned in, just close enough to speak without raising my voice. You broke us, I said. I'm just finishing the job. He wore his best suit. I brought his dirtiest secrets. The hearing room wasn't what I expected. No bright lights. No dramatic gasps. Just a sterile, wood-paneled space with a long table, a row of stiff chairs, and 5 people who would decide whether Dr. Marcus Lewis got to keep pretending he was the man he wasn't. He walked in like he still had control. Dark navy suit. Fresh haircut. Fake calm. He nodded to the board. Smiled at the stenographer. Even tried to greet me. I didn't flinch. He sat down across from me like we were about to negotiate a settlement. But there were no settlements here. Only facts. Only receipts. Only truth. They started with the basics. Credentials. Career timeline. Community standing. Then came the allegations. He leaned forward, calm, confident. I've been a physician for over 15 years. I've delivered over 600 children. I care deeply about my patients' well-being. Then they played the first recording. Danielle's testimony. She described the private consults, the locked doors, the crying patients, the strange shift changes and excuses. Marcus sat very still. Then came the audio clips. He'll never know. This is just between us. You're special. His lawyer objected. Called them out of context. The board didn't even look up. Then they called me to testify. I didn't shake. Didn't stutter. I told them everything. How he seduced my wife while I sat in his exam room. How he manipulated her emotions during pregnancy. How he used his authority, his credentials, and her vulnerability to get what he wanted. Then I looked him dead in the eye. She thought he loved her. That he cared. But what he cared about was control. He blinked. The first crack in the mask. She wasn't the only one, I added. We've identified 5 other women. Some too afraid to speak. Some who've already moved away. And then, I handed them the folder. Every message. Every log. Every pattern. This isn't an affair, I said. It's a system. Marcus finally spoke. He tried to flip it. I never forced anyone, he said. I supported these women emotionally. Some of those relationships may have crossed lines, but always consensually. Gasps from the back of the room. He looked at the panel like they were supposed to understand. Like he was a man in pain, not a predator exposed. Then someone else stood up. Megan, the young mother Amanda once mentioned. The one who got out. Her voice trembled, but her words didn't. He told me he understood how scared I was. That he could help. That it would stay between us. Her voice cracked. He was my doctor. I thought I could trust him. The silence after she sat down felt heavier than any gavel. The board broke for deliberation. 32 minutes. When they came back, they didn't drag it out. Effective immediately, Dr. Marcus Lewis is suspended from practicing medicine pending further investigation and review. Given the evidence presented today and the volume of corroborated testimonies, the board will be recommending permanent revocation of his medical license. His jaw clenched, but his eyes? Defeated. Because for the first time, the world saw him without the coat. Without the charm. Just a man. Broken. Exposed. Done. DNA didn't make me the father, but the judge saw something else. I stood outside the courthouse in the same suit I wore when Amanda and I got married. It still fit. Barely. But it didn't feel the same. That day, I wore it to start a life. This day, I wore it to reclaim one. Lily was 6 weeks old. Small, quiet, never cried much. She had Amanda's lips and a face that reminded me of no one. And somehow, everyone I wanted to protect. Amanda sat across the courtroom, pale and trembling. Her lawyer whispered. Her hands shook. Mine sat beside me, calm, confident. Her folder was thick, our evidence airtight. We weren't here to argue biology. We were here to argue stability. The judge, same one from the earlier hearing, opened the session with a sigh. This is unusual, she said. Rare. Then she looked at me. You're requesting sole custody of a child you are not biologically related to. Is that correct, Mr. Reynolds? Yes, Your Honor. And the mother is contesting. She is. Amanda spoke next. Tried to explain. Tried to cry. Said she made mistakes, but was trying to rebuild. That she loved her daughter. That she never meant for things to go this far. But her words were rehearsed. Thin. Like someone trying to pass a test they never studied for. My lawyer rose. Outlined the timeline. The deception. The emotional manipulation. The unstable environment. Then came the kicker. The summary of Dr. Lewis's hearing. The suspension. The public records. The recordings. And Amanda's involvement in all of it. The judge leaned forward. Why do you want custody, Mr. Reynolds? I stood. Swallowed hard. Then said, because someone needs to put this child first. Not their pride. Not their shame. Not their past. She's not mine, not by blood, but she's mine in every way that counts. The judge studied me. Everyone was silent. Then she said, that's enough. It took 20 minutes. Felt like 20 years. When she came back in, the judge didn't even sit down. This court awards sole legal and physical custody of the minor child to Jake Reynolds, effective immediately. Amanda gasped. She stood. Please, Your Honor. You'll be granted supervised visitation, the judge said sharply. Pending psychological review. Amanda burst into tears. I didn't flinch. I just looked at Lily, asleep in her carrier beside me, and knew she was coming home. Outside, reporters waited. No one said a word to them. Amanda stormed past me, mascara running, shoes in her hand. I held Lily close to my chest. A bailiff asked, she yours? I nodded. Lucky kid, he said. I didn't reply. Just walked down the steps, every sound muffled by the weight of everything I'd just won and everything I'd lost to get there. The man who played God lost everything, and I didn't lay a finger on him. By the end of the month, the signs came down from his office. Dr. Marcus Lewis, OB-GYN gone. Website deactivated. Clinic phone disconnected. No explanation posted. No farewell statement. Just silence. But the city already knew. Whispers turned into facts. Allegations turned into records. It spread in waves. From the clinic staff to the PDA moms to church prayer circles. The doctor who once posed for photos with newborns now walked through town like a ghost. I saw him once at the grocery store. Unshaven. Alone. Hair uncombed. He reached for a box of cereal and caught me watching. Our eyes met. He looked down. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. Because when a man like that loses power, he doesn't die all at once. He crumbles. Quietly. Inch by inch. Tyler sent me updates, though I didn't ask for them. Lewis's wife had filed for divorce. His kids switched schools. The state licensing board followed through, permanently revoked. No more patients. No more clinics. No more white coat to hide behind. He tried to get a job out of state. Word followed him. He tried to sue for defamation. The recordings buried him. And I didn't do interviews. Didn't make statements. Didn't show my face. Because real revenge doesn't need applause. It just needs to stick. Amanda kept trying. She texted once a week. Can I see her? Can we talk? I've changed. But I didn't respond. Not out of hatred. Out of peace. Some bridges don't burn. They dissolve, quietly, under their own weight. One morning, I walked out to the mailbox and found a letter. No return address. Inside was a single photo. Marcus, sitting on a bench. Alone. Looking down at a hospital flyer in his hands. No note. Just that image. A man who once played God, now reduced to nothing. I took the photo inside, taped it to a new envelope, and slid in a printed picture of Lily. Smiling. Safe. Bright-eyed. On the back, I wrote 3 words. Not yours either. Then I dropped it in the mail. I didn't choose revenge. I chose justice. It just looked the same. We live 2 hours south now. Different town. Smaller. Quieter. People don't ask questions here. They just wave from their porches, nod at the grocery store, smile when they see a man walking with a baby girl in his arms. Lily turned 1 last week. She's walking now, kind of. More like stumbling with purpose. She says, Dada, when she wants something. I never taught her that. She just knew. Our place isn't big. 2 bedrooms. Backyard with a fence I built myself. One of those little plastic slides that gets too hot in the sun. But it's ours. And it's safe. Every morning, I pour coffee, watch her destroy the living room with blocks and stuffed animals. Every night, I rock her to sleep while the sound machine hums soft rain. No screaming. No guilt. No more lies. Just peace. Amanda still sends letters. Sometimes they're long. Apologies. Regrets. Sometimes they're short. I miss her. She gets updates through the court. Photos, milestones. Supervised visits once a month, if she shows. Sometimes she cries. Sometimes she tries to hold my hand. I don't stop her. But I don't hold back either. Because I'm not hers. Not anymore. And Lily? She's not a symbol of betrayal. She's proof that you can love something that came from chaos and raise it in calm. People ask if I'm dating. I'm not. Not yet. Not because I'm broken, but because, for the first time in years, I'm full. Full of purpose. Of clarity. Of something like peace. Some days, I still think about Marcus. About the way he looked at me in that hearing. But it fades. Because men like him want to be remembered. And the best punishment is forgetting them. This morning, Lily pointed to the fireplace mantel. There's a frame up there. Wood, cracked in one corner. Inside it, the paternity test. I kept it. Not as proof of what she isn't, but of what I chose anyway. I took it down. Walked outside. Lit a match. Watched it curl, blacken, disappear. Then I walked back in, closed the door behind me, and whispered, "Let's begin."